Sophia, the center of attention at her school, humiliated and made fun of Henry, a humble boy. But she had no idea what was coming for her and how she would be punished. Henry was the type of guy most people ignored. At 17, his life was a constant loop of disheartening comments, cruel jokes, and sidelong glances. Overweight, quiet, and painfully kind. And being black, Henry had learned to hide in the background. But in his heart, there was one person who made him dream. Sophia. Sophia was the school's queen. She was beautiful, radiant, and always the center of attention. Every step she took seemed choreographed. Every word she spoke seemed rehearsed to charm. For Henry, she was perfection, the kind of girl he could never hope to approach. But still, in the privacy of his mind, he allowed himself to imagine what if. And then, one afternoon, it seemed the impossible might just happen. During lunch, as Henry was having his sandwich in the corner of the cafeteria, Sandra, one of Sophia's closest friends, approached him. Sandra never spoke to him earlier. People like her didn't even acknowledge people like him. Yet there she was, her perfectly manicured nails tapping the table as she leaned in close.
"Hey, Henry,"
she said, her voice sweet but casual. Henry looked up, confused.
Hi?
"So, we're having this party at Sophia's house next Saturday."
She began, her voice dripping with charm.
"She's thinking about inviting you."
The words took Henry by surprise.
Me?
He stammered. Sandra nodded, her smile widening.
"Yeah, she kind of has a thing for unique guys, you know? You're not like the others. That's why she notices you."
Henry's heart raced.
Sophia notices me?
He couldn't believe it. He had spent years watching her from afar, never daring to dream she would even know his name. But here was Sandra, telling him otherwise.
"You should say yes if she invites you."
Sandra added, standing up.
"Trust me, it's going to be a night to remember."
That day, Henry was happy like never before. He felt himself flying. However, in all that, he could not understand why Sandra would come and tell him what she told him. Henry couldn't sleep that night. His mind hummed with excitement and nerves. Could it really be true? Could Sophia, the girl he'd adored for years, actually like him? He decided he had to make an impression, one that would leave her seeing him in a new light. He threw himself into preparations. He rented a sleek luxury car, bought a tailored suit, and even borrowed money to buy an expensive watch. Every detail had to be perfect. For once, he wanted to feel like he belonged in Sophia's world, a rich world of expensive and finest things. As the day of the party approached, his excitement grew. He imagined the look on Sophia's face when he walked in, the whispers of admiration from the crowd. This was his chance to prove that he wasn't just the quiet, overweight kid everyone overlooked. He was more than that. The night of the party arrived. Sophia's house was a mansion, glowing with lights. Henry pulled up in the rented car, his heart thumping. As he stepped out, he adjusted his suit and walked toward the door, his palms greasy with nervous sweat. To his surprise, Sophia herself greeted him at the door.
"Henry,
She exclaimed, her smile radiant.
you made it."
Henry felt like he was walking on air. She took his arm and led him inside, her touch sending shivers down his spine. Henry was feeling sorry for what he thought earlier about Sophia. He thought she was rude and unkind to people. But there she was, treating him nicely. The house was packed with students, but for a moment, it felt like it was just the two of them. Sophia introduced him to her friends, laughed at his jokes, and even whispered compliments in his ear. Henry couldn't believe his luck.
This is it,
He thought.
She sees me.
As the music shifted, couples began moving to the dance floor. Henry, emboldened by the night's events, turned to Sophia and offered his hand.
Would you dance with me?
Sophia hesitated for a split second, then smiled.
Of course.
She led him to the center of the room, where the crowd parted to watch. Henry felt every eye on him, but for once, it didn't bother him. He was with Sophia, and that was all that mattered. But as they began to dance, Sophia leaned in close, her voice dropping to a whisper.
You really thought this was real, didn't you?
Henry froze.
What do you mean?
Sophia stepped back, her smile twisting into something cruel.
It was a bet, Henry.
She said, loud enough for everyone to hear.
I didn't even know your name and that you existed. It was only my friend's idea. We wanted to see if we could get you to believe someone like me could ever want someone like you.
The room erupted into laughter. Henry's heart shattered as he looked around and saw the faces of the students he thought had been impressed by him. They weren't admiring him. They were mocking him. Sandra stepped forward, holding up her phone.
Say cheese, Henry.
She said with a smirk.
This is going viral.
Henry's face burned with humiliation. Tears blurred his vision as the laughter grew louder, echoing in his ears. He turned and ran, the sound of their jeers following him out the door and into the night. That night, Henry locked himself in his room and cried until he had no tears left. The pain was unbearable. But what hurt most was the betrayal. He had believed in Sophia, believed that she saw something in him. But it had all been a cruel joke. For weeks, Henry didn't return to school. He deleted his social media accounts, knowing the video of his humiliation was spreading. He couldn't face the world, not after what had happened. But he knew he had to get back to his life. He returned to school after months of isolation, hoping the cruel taunts had declined. But he was met with taunts and whispers. Every hallway he walked down was filled with mocking laughter, and the infamous video from Sophia's party played on students' phones whenever he came near. His humiliation, frozen in time, was their favorite joke. At the forefront of it all was Sophia, the queen of ridicule, who never missed an opportunity to tear him down.
Henry, you really should get psychological help.
Sophia would say, her voice dripping with false concern, her words landing like daggers. Her cruelty knew no bounds, and the school followed her lead, laughing at every jab. One day, as Sophia was in the middle of another rant, a quiet voice from the corner of the classroom cut through the noise.
That's enough, Sophia,
said Emily, a shy but beautiful girl who rarely spoke. Her courage startled everyone. Emily was the daughter of Sophia's maid, a fact Sophia often used to belittle her. But Emily couldn't stay silent any longer. Watching Henry crumble under Sophia's abuse was too much for her gentle heart. Sophia turned her poison toward Emily without hesitation.
You dare speak to me like that? The daughter of my maid? Maybe you should learn your place.
She hissed. The class laughed nervously, unsure of how far Sophia would take it. That evening, Emily returned to Sophia's house to help her mother with the cleaning. As soon as she entered, she noticed something was wrong. The living room was a disaster zone, with dirt and debris intentionally spread everywhere. Emily's heart sank. This was Sophia's retaliation for her resistance at school. Sophia stood at the top of the staircase, watching with a smug grin.
Looks like you and your mom have your work cut out for you tonight.
She said, her voice exuding harshness. Emily clenched her fists but said nothing. She helped her mother clean the house in silence, but her determination hardened. Sophia's cruelty was relentless, but Emily refused to let her spirit be crushed. The next day, Henry found Emily during lunch. He wanted to thank her for standing up to Sophia.
You didn't have to do that,
he said, his voice filled with gratitude. Emily shrugged.
someone had to.
They began to talk more often, and their friendship grew quickly. Emily's kindness and strength inspired Henry, and she offered to help him rebuild his confidence. Together, they worked on his fitness, Emily encouraging him every step of the way.
You're stronger than you think, Henry.
She said during their evening jogs. Sophia, of course, mocked them both mercilessly.
One poor loser helping another.
She sneered. But neither Henry nor Emily let her words break them. They were building something Sophia couldn't understand, a bond based on respect and kindness. After some days, the school prom date was announced and everyone looked excited. Henry nervously asked Emily to be his date, and to his delight, she said yes. Meanwhile, Sophia was plotting her grand entrance. Her current boyfriend had lost his charm, and she needed someone who would shock everyone and restore her fading reputation. That's when Sophia decided to date Clark, a rising singer who had gained local fame. She had been bombarding him with messages for weeks, hoping to catch his attention. One day, Henry was visiting his cousin, who happened to be Clark. As they hung out, a notification popped up on Clark's phone.
Hi, I'm your biggest fan. I can do anything for you.
The message read. Henry's stomach dropped when he saw the sender's name, Sophia.
Can I handle this one?
Henry asked, his mind racing with ideas. Then, Henry told Clark everything that had happened. Clark simply handed over the phone.
Go for it.
Henry, pretending to be Clark, replied to Sophia's message. I appreciate your support, he typed, watching as Sophia's response came instantly. She poured her heart out, claiming she admired Clark's talent and hoped he would accompany her to the prom. Henry played along, agreeing to attend, but added, I don't have a car right now. Mine's in the shop. Sophia's reply was immediate.
Don't worry, I'll take care of everything.
Desperate to impress Clark, Sophia decided to steal two of her mother's most prized necklaces to fund her prom preparations. She sold one to rent a luxury car and buy a stunning gown, while the other remained hidden in her room until she needed a scapegoat. When her mother discovered the missing necklaces, Sophia feigned innocence.
I saw Emily's mom near your room earlier. Maybe we should check her bag.
Emily's mother, who had worked for Sophia's family for years, was horrified when Sophia's mother confronted her.
I would never steal.
She pleaded. But Sophia insisted, her smug expression never faltering. When they searched Emily's mother's bag, they found one of the necklaces. Emily and her mother knew immediately they had been set up, but their protests fell on deaf ears. Sophia's lies had sealed their fate. Police were called, and Emily's mom was taken into custody. As Sophia basked in her false victory, Henry and Emily worked in secret. They were determined not only to prove Emily's mother's innocence, but also to expose Sophia for who she truly was. The stage was set for prom night, where Sophia's arrogance would finally meet its match. Prom night had arrived, and Sophia was radiant in her glittering gown, her hair perfectly styled. She was the center of attention, as always, but deep down, a knot of nervousness twisted in her stomach. Would the star singer Clark really show up? Her phone chimed, and she eagerly opened the message. I'm ready. Pick me up at my place, it read. Excitement surged through her. She drove the rented luxury car to Clark's address, imagining the jealous stares of her classmates as they saw her arrive with the rising star. But when Clark emerged from the building, he was covered head to toe in a mysterious masked outfit.
Why the disguise?
Sophia asked, puzzled but intrigued.
It's all part of the surprise.
Clark replied in a low, playful voice.
Everyone will love the reveal.
Sophia loved the idea. It was bold and dramatic, exactly her style. During the drive, Clark turned to her and said,
I've admired you for a while. I think you're amazing. Do you feel the same?
Sophia's heart fluttered. This was the moment she had been dreaming of.
Yes,
She confessed.
I feel the same. Now that we know each other's hearts, I'll make it official. I'll propose to you in front of everyone.
The moment they stepped into the prom, heads turned. Whispers spread like wildfire as people speculated about the identity of Sophia's masked date. However, everyone had an idea that the man in the mask would be a famous personality. It was Sophia's style to date the famous ones. She basked in the attention, confident she had once again outshone everyone. When the music softened, Sophia seized her chance. Grabbing the microphone, she silenced the room with a dazzling smile.
Tonight, I want to do something extraordinary.
She began, her voice filled with emotion. She turned to her masked date, dropping to one knee.
Clark, will you make this night unforgettable by saying yes to me?
The crowd gasped, and phones were whipped out to record the spectacle. But as Sophia looked up at her supposed star date, her gaze caught something shocking. Emily walking in, arm in arm with the real Clark. Sophia froze. If Clark was with Emily, then who was behind the mask? Panic gripped her, but it was too late. The masked figure removed his disguise, revealing Henry. Gasps filled the room as Henry stood tall and confident, his hard-earned transformation evident in his fit physique and sharp suit. The once overlooked boy Sophia had cruelly humiliated now looked strikingly handsome. Sophia's heart sank as the room erupted in laughter. The queen bee proposing to the same boy she had mocked so mercilessly? The irony wasn't lost on anyone. Phones captured every moment, ensuring this spectacle would live on as the ultimate school scandal. Humiliation burned in her cheeks as Sophia bolted out of the prom, tears streaming down her face. Furious and blinded by rage, Sophia dashed away in the rented car, her foot pressing harder and harder on the accelerator. She couldn't think straight, the events of the night replaying over and over in her mind. Her anger, mixed with regret, clouded her judgment. In a moment of carelessness, she curved too sharply, crashing the car into a building. The vehicle was destroyed, but miraculously, Sophia emerged unharmed. As she stumbled out of the wreckage, shaking, memories of her past cruelty flooded her mind. Every insult, every scheme, every person she had hurt. For the first time, guilt ate her up from inside.
What have I done?
She whispered to herself. When Sophia finally made it home, disheveled and defeated, she found her parents waiting for her, their faces rigid.
We need to talk.
Her father began gravely.
We know what you did to Emily's mother, how you framed her for stealing. This behavior is unacceptable.
Sophia's heart sank further as her mother added,
And we've decided you're grounded. No more parties, no more luxuries. Everything is gone until you prove you deserve them.
But the final blow came when her father murmured under his breath.
Maybe we should have never adopted her.
Sophia's eyes widened in shock.
Adopted?
She stammered, the word hitting her like a thunderbolt. Her parents exchanged a look, realizing too late that they had revealed the truth.
Yes.
Her mother said softly.
We took you in after your biological mother passed. We've given you everything, and this is how you repay us?
The revelation left Sophia spinning, but it also forced her to confront her actions. She spent the next few days reflecting, replaying every cruel thing she had done. She realized how much pain she had caused not just Henry and Emily, but even her own parents. Determined to change, Sophia began helping her parents around the house, apologizing to Emily and her mother, and withdrawing from the toxic crowd she once ruled. It wasn't easy, and many doubted her sincerity at first, but over time, her humility became genuine. In the end, she saw she was not much different from everyone else. She had learned her lesson the hard way, but it was essential. From that night on, she became humble, treating everyone nicely, and remembering if she repeated the past, she would lose everything. Henry and Emily never really wanted to do what they did with Sophia, but someone had to teach her the lesson. In the end, everything was fine, and Henry and Emily were together, with the bond between them growing strong.